while, Dan. It's been a while. Been close to a month,
Been a long while.
but I guess so. What is this? Is this the season 2, episode 1 then of a Botched Wrestling podcast? Is that
Yeah,
how we're gonna go
that's
with this?
probably This is the
Season.
season premiere of
Hey.
a Botched Wrestling podcast,
Yeah.
and we may have another one
Woo!
in 3 months. We don't know. Like we'll
Yeah,
just,
yeah. We'll just see how everybody's schedule works out. But yeah,
I mean, if it
obviously,
fits the storyline, we're doing the season premiere.
obviously, Dan's in Stephanie McMahon's spare bedroom now with his new studio
Whoa,
set up. Wait, wait,
whoa,
whoa, hey.
hey,
Tell
hey, I
Hunter I said
wish,
hello.
I
Um,
wish. I mean, can I say that out loud?
so Dan, you know, obviously our schedules have been crazy. We haven't been able to plan these. Season 2, episode 1. I think to steal a book from the guy who should not be named. This is the most episodic entertainment, no quality podcast viewership. If you look at it over the course of however many episodes we've done, comparing it to all sports, as they used to put on every WWE Raw episode.
Yeah.
Remember, we always used to screenshot those and send it to each other of, oh, they're back at it again.
Yep.
So here we are, Botched Wrestling Podcast, back again. That's Dan in his brand new luxury apartment with all of his video games I'm jealous of behind him.
My
Um,
brand new podcasting room.
yeah, his brand new podcasting room. I mean, I think season 2 is when we go big, Dan. I think.
I mean, I'm starting. I'm gonna get some more lights here. We're gonna highlight some stuff, but yeah,
I
we're
mean, I
building.
got a couple feelers out there for hopefully one guest. She's a big Buffalo podcast person, but I won't say the name yet. But I've been hopefully working on getting her onto her pod sometime. Um, so Dan, you texted me last night after MJF came out. MJF was doing his thing, correct?
Yes.
And you had a few subtle things to say about this. So, floor is yours, sir. Let's start this off big. So I'll let you go.
I mean, before we get right into that, I mean, let's talk about his return, right?
I mean, yeah, he came out in
Came
a
out at Dynasty,
yeah, he came out in a
the pay
smaller
per view.
version of what Triple H came out in, attire wise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just without the black sleeves and the what's the band that Triple H loves? Oh my god, I was just
Not, not Motorhead.
yes, it is with the
Yeah,
he didn't have the Motorhead T-shirt underneath. He just was
right.
flexing the abs for all 38 people that was in the stadium that night. Um, it did help with viewership some, obviously, right? Because once everybody hears that MJF is back, they're probably tuning in or they're waiting to see.
It helped. It helped last night. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it helped and it hurts at the same time.
Right.
So we'll
I
get into
mean,
that.
he looks good, right?
Yeah, I thought he looks real good. He looks a little thinner, but healthy
Yeah.
thinner,
The one
right?
caveat is that shitty ass tattoo.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
I didn't think he
To
would be
me,
that guy, right? Like,
I mean, it looked real too. I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's fake. I mean, I guess the one thing you could say about it is you'll never see it unless because he always wears boots,
yeah,
right?
his wrestling boots. He's a boot guy.
So you'll never see it if he ever leaves. Um,
Yeah, but
when he's wrestling. So, but it's definitely yeah. I mean, it definitely gave me a little shock, like the Cody tattoo. But at least the Cody tattoo is transferable. So
yeah, he looked
the
good.
placement's better than the Cody tattoo.
Yeah, he looked good, right? It's always good to have him back. Like, no matter what side that you watch or who you root for, having MJF back is great for wrestling, right?
Yes.
Because he could, like, honestly, sitting here right now with everything he's been able to do, if you are not looking at companies just based on what he can do on the mic and what he can do in the ring, he could go down top 10 of all time. Just
Yeah, I think so.
if you're thinking just wrestling in general, no organization, no guide, like just all right, who's your top 10, right? Like he could be top 10 all time if he's able to keep staying healthy. I mean, I think this was his first like bad injury, right?
Yeah, I did. Well, I think so. I mean, certainly his first bad injury from being super mainstream. I don't know if he's dealt with any in his
Yeah, I don't
indie
think so
days
cuz
or
like
his MLW days, right? Like he
yeah,
was in MLW for a while, which I kind of always forget exists.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it's big to have them back, right? It is like it's big for AEW. It's big for wrestling in general, and it's big the shot he kind of took at WWE, right? Because it's because now it just I'm all right. How do I put this? I'm okay with them taking these one-off like shots like at each other if they're using it to build the storyline, right? Because that's what wrestling grew up on, right? Like
Yeah,
when you saw DX drive the tank down the road to where WCW was. It was what? The DX storyline, right? They were ready for war with whoever was in front of them. They didn't care. They were running everybody over. They were basically the new outsiders taking everybody hostage. And they didn't care because it all wrestling in general went through that stable, right? That was the point of that.
yeah.
So when T came out and said his comment about he doesn't need a Vince McMahon
Or New Japan.
or New Japan, which if I'm Tony, I'm like, all right, we do have a partnership with them. Like, let's take it easy. But
Yeah,
I do, but for right now, it just helps build, right? Because he said he's done being the character that he was before, right? He's back to being MJF the Devil, pretty much. That's what I took from that promo, right? Like he's back being the guy that you know he's gonna be a pain in the ass, but you have to keep him around because he's the best you get, right?
yes, and I think he's going to he's going to try to be as much as like an Austin type character
Exactly.
can
That's
be,
perfect.
right? Like
Yes.
they're
Spot
gonna
on.
love him. They're gonna love him. He's gonna insult you. He's not really going to align necessarily with anyone unless he needs to for a reason, and he's probably gonna turn on him right after.
Yeah. He
And
just
the crowd's gonna eat it up and chant for him, and he's gonna tell them they're all fat slobs and they're not gonna care.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right? Like like he called them marks the other night in the promo, right? Like he said something and he called them marks, and he quickly did the like, no offense, but you are, and they're gonna eat it up.
Well, yeah,
And
because how long have they been trying to track down the dirt sheets for when's he coming back? When's he coming back? When's he coming back? Right? Like,
right,
so he's spot on. So like, yeah, no, I this is the MJF that we all fell in love with, right?
hmm
Like as
hmm
much as we love the whole Adam Cole like partnership, best friends, we're better than you, baby. You know what I mean? Like, cool. That was a cool side street that they went down for a while. But I think if
yeah,
you're gonna be successful with AEW and you're gonna continue to pick up stream, you need that, and your correlation to Stone Cold is perfect because that's what they need right now to survive. Right?
yeah,
I mean, they need
100.
that it
percent
guy because I don't know if you saw all the videos about Osprey coming out, and all you see is like 2 to 3 rows of people cheering for Osprey. They spent millions on him to get him here, and it's flat
Yeah,
as a Five Guys pop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's because he didn't do it right. They didn't bring him along right, right?
no,
And we
Well, and
talked about
dumb. It was dumb to announce him
yes,
and then say he had a couple of months. Like it was just stupid
we
because you should have just waited the time and had him surprise and attack someone or whatever. Like it just was dumb the way they did it.
yeah, they were fiending for something, right?
Right, because honestly, it's not like it's the first time he's wrestled there,
No.
right? Because they were crossing over all the time with
So
New
people
Japan.
he's
So you didn't need like it wasn't a shock to see him. So you should have just waited and then made it a bigger deal, but too
yeah,
late.
I mean it's interesting, right? Like it's like I don't know. It's I'm trying to think and it's just if you think about it too, they did the same thing with Osprey that they're doing with Sasha. Flat. But don't worry, she got a 5 star from
Of
Dave.
course she did. Of
Yeah.
course she did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
yeah. I don't care, but it's just like I just it's interesting, right? Like it's kind of a conundrum because if you think they brought those two along, it's almost like Tony didn't see into the future of like we're getting MJF back, so let's make sure we don't screw up these two because if MJF is just going to come back, do what he wants, it's going to be great. They're going to have three strong horses to just take them, right?
Yeah.
Now it all sadly it all falls on MJF,
Hmm.
correct? Like he has to. So I don't know. I mean, I'm very happy he's back. I will tune in for him. I've been tuning in for Swerve. I'm a big fan of Swerve. I'm glad he has the title. I don't know if Swerve having the title is right for this company right now. Because I think they need to go all out. And I think Swerve was better when he was chasing.
Unintended.
No, I didn't even think about that, but thanks for catching that, Dan. But
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Well, I mean, they almost always are better chasing. That's the big issue, right? That's always the issue. You know,
yeah,
gone are the days of like the Hulk Hogan, you know, babyface run champion, beloved all the time and always want the title and having heels chase him all the time, and that's the intrigue. Fans don't care about that as much anymore. I think it's an issue we can talk about it in a little bit too. It's potentially an issue for Cody too. But oh, um, my point being is that I think that's always the issue because the chase is greater than the title reign typically, and Roman Reigns might have been the only exception to that. Is that why you're putting your finger up?
thank
Okay.
you. Thank
In
you.
the sense of like, but that was because that story was done
Perfectly.
near perfection for the dominance, the like pieces, the bites that you would get of him because he wasn't there all
Nope.
the time and he wasn't wrestling
Nope.
all the time, but he was making an appearance. He was having great promos. He had Paul, right? And he was just dominating. So that was just intriguing as a story, but he also wasn't a baby face either. I mean, the story was loved, but the person in particular, in theory, the
Yeah.
character,
The human.
was
Yep.
hated at the time. You know, the character now is different, but um, and with Cody, it was all the intrigue of getting to and part of that, I mean, in fairness, part of that is because the Roman Reigns and the Bloodline story was done so well. But it was overcoming that mountain, and now he's overcome that mountain, and nothing really compares, right? Like his match with AJ, good match. His match with Logan, good match. But was it intriguing? Not really. It's just next guy up right now. So they need to get a story. And that's why, and you and I have been talking about it for months. Like, I think we want to see a Randy turn because that adds intrigue to this story with Cody. And, like, I didn't really, was there any really expectation that AJ might beat Cody? No. Certainly not
No.
any expectation that Logan might beat Cody. So that makes the story kind of dull for us as fans. Kids, kids might love it because they love Cody, but
Yeah.
for us as fans, it's not really there.
Yeah.
But we see a Randy like come to his defense and then turn on him later, and like all of a sudden it's like, wait, Randy could beat him. Like, and then we have like a story to go into, and I don't know, like, let's just pick SummerSlam. You do that for SummerSlam, and it's like, oh, this is going to be a must see like situation, right? So for Swerve, I think it's the same thing. Like watching him chase to get it, especially given his history and through the business and leaving WWE and all that stuff, has been great. Now, I mean, and this is the part that pisses me off about AEW in general. He defended it against Roddy Strong.
Yeah.
Like, like what the
Yeah.
hell was that?
No. So
Like,
to build off that,
what are you doing?
we're getting Osprey and Phoenix next week for Osprey's title.
Oh, the international one or whatever it is. Yeah.
If Osprey pulls out that Tiger Driver again, Phoenix has had issues with neck problems in the past. If Osprey just wants to go full star, 5-star Uncle Dave type squad here and pulls out the Tiger Driver, what good does it do this company?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, but I mean to build off your point, I think you're spot on with everything. I was hoping for when Swerve's contract was up, the last signing would be he's the perfect for a Trick Williams, Carmelo, Swerve type three way, and you could do that all year in NXT if you want, and it will be banger after banger after banger. You would probably only get 2 to 3 stars from Uncle Dave, but the quality that those three guys would be able to do, the chase those three guys would be able to do, you could even circulate that title between the three of them once a quarter, and nobody would care. It wouldn't be about the title, right?
Right.
I think that's the problem with AEW. Is it's when MJF is gone, the only thing they have there are the titles because they don't have storylines, so they don't have a story protecting the title.
No.
So it's kind of like, okay, so can this guy make this title big? Because let's be honest, these titles aren't as big as the WWE titles. Like them putting that NXT title on Trick is bigger for Trick than what Trick was doing for NXT, and everybody was in is in love with Trick at NXT. But just the fact that NXT title, if you hold that NXT title, that usually means you're the next one up that they want on the big roster when it's time. They're gonna push you to other titles if you keep working, if you keep progressing, because they don't give that NXT title to anybody, right?
No.
So
Mm-mm.
it's yeah. I mean, just to tie this all back to MJF, it's like he's gonna have to do this all on his own now. And I think when he came out and was taking shots at Osprey and Okada, I mean that's what you kind of need, right? Like, but is he going to be able to do that every week? Is just come out and take shots at the three people with titles to take shots at the Bucks? Like, is that what? Like, it's just going to be like MJF roll call hour, and he just comes out, you give him a mic, and he goes off on whoever he wants to go off on. Like, is that like how long does that suffice?
Right. Well,
Right?
that's the problem. That's the problem they run into. Right. And that's the other problem. And this kind of ties into what I was going to say. So the ratings for yesterday, right? Started out with MJF
Yep.
with a promo, start the show. 976,
Smart,
976.
smart.
15 minutes later, 835. Lost 140,000 after MJF goes off the TV. Click. I'm gonna go find something else to watch. And then it continues to go down, probably because some of that promo probably went into more than just 15 minutes, but broken down quarter hour. So 8:35, and then down to 7:54 by 8:30. So that's not great. You know,
No, I
and
mean,
it's a good thing because he gives them the bump, but there's no staying power in that.
well, because they don't
So
have
you
any,
you
right?
have well, and you have to use them a little more. You have to create some story so people might stay tuned for what's going to happen later with him, and check back in, like, because you don't, right? That's what they need to do to try to figure this out, right? Like, I don't care if he starts off your show, and then you get a chance to try to hook him, but you don't have anything to hook him with right now. So you got to hook him with more MJF for now. But then you run into the problem of oversaturating too. So then what?
Yeah, or it just getting flat, right? Like, just like, oh, okay, MJ's up. MJF is out here again just to talk crap about everybody. Like, and to be honest, if that's Tony's plan, MJF signed with the wrong company, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I wish him all the best. Like, like I said, wrestling is 10 times better when he's involved, and it doesn't matter to me that he's at AEW or NXT or WWE. Like, just him being involved in wrestling means you're gonna get great clips, and wrestling's gonna be good. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's healthy. He looks great. Hopefully they can figure that out. I don't know, Dan. What's your thoughts? Like he put Rush over more in the promo back and
Oh,
forth than than I
yeah.
think he would do in any type of match, right? Because when you send somebody out there to do a promo with MJF, 90% of the crowd is thinking this guy's gonna get smoked, right? Because they don't have anybody that has that talent that he has when it comes
Right.
to talking. He's
No.
head and shoulders above everybody. So
Yeah. So that was my thing. And that's what I texted you last
yeah,
night. Like,
about Rush.
my thing is like, he's back, and the first thing you're doing is putting in a program with Bruce. Like, man,
Yeah,
right? Like right off the now he called out Osprey,
he called
so
out
he's
Swerve
laying.
too, right? In Akata.
I think so, but like but he spent a decent amount of time I thought on Osprey compared to the rest. I think so. My guess, my thought is like that's fine. There could be something there. You gotta make it a story, but that's just the problem with AEW in general is they're not focused on story as much as they're just focused on matches, and like that's cool once in a while, and that was cool originally when we were seeing matches we don't normally see, but now it's just kind of played out because, to be honest, me personally, and I might be in the minority of AEW fans, but I don't really care about seeing Brian Danielson and some guy from Japan for the first time ever.
I'm so I'm so over it due to the let's sit down Indian style and just wail off in each other's heads. When he's
Well,
one concussion from being a vegetable. The doctors have told him this. Like,
I that part I don't even think about that part because, to be honest, like that's not like that's his problem. Like he's got to
no,
figure that
yeah,
out. Like,
but that just kills the whole Brian Danielson thing for me. It's like, buddy, like you're so much better than this. Like you are so much better than whatever you're doing. But yeah, go on.
like the I think just like the idea of like they just put together matches because like they're kind of fantasy booking because they can, and like, okay, fine, like you're fantasy booking
Yeah.
because you can. But so I'm trying to think of what it was last night. So last night it was Blackpool Combat Club against I'm looking it up right now, versus team CMLL, which was the Mexican national light heavyweight champion Magnus Ruggiero and Volador Jr., who maybe I'm showing my like non-fanness in a way. I don't even know who these guys are, but whatever. The
Triple
four of
A, I think.
them, yeah, the four of them from AAA, um, just randomly put in as a quote unquote grudge match.
Yeah. Where's the
Like,
grudge?
well, and on top of that, like, why do I care about that? Even if it, like, if that was something that happened in AAA, that they set up a story there, you haven't really put that
Nope.
through. I mean, now granted, I haven't been watching Dynamite at all, really. I've been just catching up later on social media with it and watching clips and kind of following along that way. But you would think that would be on their social media too.
Right.
Explain, laying out some of that foundation. And that was the other thing I was going to say is that I told you a few months ago when MJF came back, that would give me a reason to watch Dynamite, and then I didn't watch Dynamite last night.
No, but it's true, right? Like it is
So,
like it's more in our brain to tune into it because he's back, right? Than it's been in the past. Honestly, like whatever happens with schedules, the schedules, but like it's that's what he brings, right? Like he brings like the older demographic back because they're like, all right. I mean, Bubba Ray said it best on Busted Open, I think a month or two ago. Tony is not a great booker. Tony is a great match maker, and I think that's the difference. He's great
mhm,
when it comes to this fantasy video game hypothetical. Who can we put against who? If you're asking Tony to be a booker, he doesn't have that. And that's as simple as it is. And we can get all the hate from that, and you can try and strike this podcast with a strike again because I know that's what happened the last time. But like, it's true. Like, right? Like, that's what it is. Like, he's a grew up with wrestling. I have enough money to be in wrestling. How can I make this
mhm,
awesome? And he's doing it for his point of view, right? Like we can't ever judge his point of view on things because we're not Tony. We don't have Tony's funds. We don't own our own wrestling federation. Like we just tune in, tune out, whatever, right?
mhm,
But then again, like my fear for MJF is you have Paige that sorry, if you have Soraya there, you have Tony Storm there, you have Willow there, you have Mercedes Bonet there, you have Britt there. What's going on with these five? How do you have no other thing to talk about?
right.
I mean, Statlander just turned on Willow, I think, at the pay per view. I think I saw maybe 20 clips of that on Twitter, and then it was done within 12 hours.
Hmm.
So you got to think MJF is probably telling Tony, hands off, I'm going to do what I do, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The only other thing I want to talk about MJF was supposedly he's the highest paid in the company. What do you think it's at?
Um, it's hard to tell because we've heard so many things like
I
about what they're paying. But if Jericho was somewhere at like 5 to, or wasn't Punk gonna be like 7 mil a year? So he's got to be north of that. Um,
there's a few rumors going around that he's 15 per year.
I saw some of that. I find that hard to believe, but
And
who
that's
knows?
supposedly what he asked WWE for.
Well, he was crazy there. Like, if that's what he
Yeah,
was asking him, he's crazy there because, like, he's I don't know. I don't think he's dumb, but I feel like I don't know. Your real life mentor is Cody, and I'm sure Cody would have helped you navigate how to approach that situation. And knowing your value is one thing, and believing in yourself and your value is one thing.
yeah,
But also recognizing that sometimes your monetary value today is less, but you're going into a bigger opportunity, which means your projection is higher. Like he's even if he's the highest paid in AEW, that's obviously also probably the way it should be because of what he means to AEW. But he's already at the ceiling for them. In WWE, yeah, maybe. So let's just say it's 15 a year. Let's just call it that for the sake of this conversation.
Brock was
Fine.
12.
Right. Okay. So,
So
but let's just say it. So, but so you have an offer for AEW for 15. You go to WWE. They're not going to match that offer. Maybe they tell you 8. I don't know. I'm sure. I don't even know. But let's just say it's 8. Yeah, eight's a lot less than 15. But in 2 years, where are you in WWE?
he could have
Right?
made that all back on the scarf through the WWE shop in
That's what I'm
1 year.
saying.
1 year.
That's what I'm saying. And also you're in sellouts every night in 18,000 or every week in 18,000 seat arenas, right? You're in pay-per-views once a month, most likely in all over the world at this point, right? You're, you know, you're got a whole machine behind you, promoting you, pumping you, getting you out there, right? You're crossing now with potentially like UFC, right? You're crossing with other areas, you're crossing with different sports companies and all this stuff and all this promotion. And that 8 million leads to, or that opportunity leads to maybe more movie roles, TV roles, merchandising, um, spokesperson stuff, right? Like brand deals, right? All that stuff. Some of it you can get now, but probably not all of it. WWE just opens more doors for you.
Not at the
So,
level I would say, right? Like
right, right.
like
So, like I
everything
said, some of it.
intensified
Yeah,
at WWE. Like you
right.
said, like you have
There's
this
more door. There's more doors to open. That's
correct.
all it is,
And
for sure.
there's more
And they're
doors
bigger.
than ever to open now because Vince is gone. You've never
Right.
had a company this big pushing WWE. WWE got this far on its own. Now you're having a company that's just as big, sometimes even bigger based on the event or the circumstance, stating, hey, let's tag team this. He could, yeah, I mean, we'll never know how much he asked for it until he writes a book, right? Like, that's what it's going to come down to. Like, he's not going to come out and say,
I mean, it's also kind of crazy if AEW is actually paying him 15 a year. That's kind of crazy. Like, he's very valuable to them, but I don't know if anybody on their roster is that valuable.
you think they're paying
It's a
him
lot of money.
15 a year because he said he'll get that AEW tattoo?
I mean, that'd be dumb too on their part because like tattoos these days are easy enough to get removed. So
Oh, yeah.
I just, I mean, good for him if he is, or if it's anything even close to that. I just don't see it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and did you have any like issues with him taking a shot at Vince? Because there was a lot of people
no,
that had issues with him taking, and I really didn't. To be honest, I really didn't care.
I don't care because it's just what he's always done. Like he's always toyed tiptoed and a lot of times crossed that line of what you should say versus what you can say, or and that's part of what got him to where he is. And it's him being more outlandish like that. Um, just makes sense, right? Like, so it's fine. To
Yeah,
me, it's
I
fine.
mean,
It, it's
I think he
eh,
did it smart, right? Because he took a shot at Vince, and
but
nobody.
what else is he? What else is he really gonna say? Like he might be able to get away with like a Bruce referencing Bruce because he had a relationship with Bruce from MLW
Yeah,
when Bruce was there. But like other than that, like what's he gonna say? Like I guess he could say a Triple H or whatever, a Paul Levesque if he wanted to, but it just it doesn't rhyme, which was part of it.
yep,
Like the McMahon New Japan, right? Like so it just flowed nicer. But I think his point was is you brought in all these guys that Vince McMahon made into stars because we're not at a point yet where we can necessarily say like that these people that come over from WWE are stars because of Triple H. Some of them maybe you can give credit for some of their rise, but I mean when you're talking about Jericho and Edge and Moxley and all those guys, right? Like they were there for the Vince McMahon era of WWE, right? Like nobody nobody that's there today wasn't there when Vince McMahon was running it, so I think that's part of why he does it.
no,
A
and
year from now, if they bring over somebody from NXT that Paul and Triple H and Shawn made big, then yeah, he would have to point out to them. But
yeah,
like,
I don't think it really matters that he took a shot at Vince. One, because nobody's really talking about Vince, right? So
right.
there's not
Well,
going to
and I
be a
assume
lot of rebuttal back towards him because of that. I
I
think,
assume some of that is based on the fact of like you know Vince is a name that shouldn't be mentioned too
yeah,
often
cool,
for any reason.
fine,
Like
but
that's
I think we're past that
probably
point. I think we're past that point. But yeah, I get your point on that. I think,
That's. I mean, I didn't care, but my guess is people that cared. That's part of the
well,
reason.
they
It's
just
like,
didn't like the shot at WWE, right? And I don't know.
oh, well, that's gonna just
I don't
continue.
consider
Like,
Vince a part of WWE because it feels so different. And
right.
perfect segue into our next topic. The best female wrestler on the planet, Dan, is now part of NXT. She's better than Britt
Well,
Baker. I'm sorry.
well, sort of. She's not really a part of NXT.
Dan,
She's
she could.
invading NXT.
Yeah, she's going for the title.
She's invading
But
because she's
also,
not
do you want to talk
gone
about her
from
first,
TNA.
or do you want to talk about the guy with the very big ego that NXT signed? Because we were talking about this in our group chat over the weekend.
Um, well, let's just start with her and then go into the big ego.
So, for all of those that don't watch NXT regularly, Dan, even though you co-run a wrestling podcast, wild to me. NXT Battleground is from the UFC Apex Center this weekend. I'm very
Yes.
excited to see how this is going to look. Because there wasn't crowds the last time we saw the Apex Center. So I'm waiting to see how they're going to put this together. But Jordan Grace, Roxanne Perez, talking shit on Twitter to each other. Jordan Grace walks out this past Tuesday, turns around. NXTNA. Hello. So much for those stupid forbidden doors, Dan.
I really wish I could remember what they
I
said.
know it was so classic too. God, I hate being old. Um, but yeah, I mean, how huge is this? A name like her basically running through the development mental of WWE.
I mean, it's it's great. I'm searching too for
Here, I had this up.
I can't find it.
Here,
Um, it's great. It's great for a lot of reasons. A, it's a great surprise.
yes,
B, it's not expected, right, with the cross promotion. It's just not something WWE has done all too often. And the most recently was the Royal Rumble with Jordan Grace. Um, it's just not what they do for the most part. So when they do it, they don't overdo it either, and it becomes more special. Um, I'll be interested to see if there's any reciprocal, you know, reciprocation by WWE to TNA, which could be fun.
so,
I actually like low key. I kind of think they should let Jordan Grace win,
me
and then
too,
somebody's
me
got to
too, me too. And she's the
go
champ of
chase the belt. Yeah, and
two belt
let
Jordan,
somebody go chase the belt
two belt
in
Jordan.
TNA.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
and
And
that could be fun for a while. Like.
then look how easy it is for them to throw a legend back in the fix. Because from the time before last, when Jordan was supposed to wrestle Nikki James, that's when Nikki had that injury. All of a sudden, she comes back now. You don't know if she's in NXT. You don't know if she's in TNA. You don't know if she's in that promotion that she is now. But now you got to throw a legend back in there to go after her. And then she's still
Yeah.
fighting off Roxanne. And then, shit, say if Bianca and Jade somehow drop the titles. Or say if Jade wants a second title because she's heard about how strong Jordan is, right? Then you
Yep.
have Powerhouse versus Powerhouse. How do you not? How do it prints itself in cash? Like you can't get this wrong. So, uh, real quick, according to WrestleNomics, shout out to that guy that we know. The June 4th episode of NXT drew 768,000 viewers. This number is up from 703, so 65,000 since a week, basically. Yep, the highest viewership that the show has recorded since January of 2024. It had a .22 rating in the 18 to 49, which was down from .24, but and for the first time in weeks, the episode of NXT did not face any competition of sports, so obviously that helped. What do you think Jordan Grace's uh, viewership was? Because she was out there first to wrestle. Here, let,
Hmm.
let me do it this way. You have Jordan Grace. You have when Ethan Page signs his contract. You have Booker T hosting the North American Title Summit for NXT Women's. You have Gallus versus Obe Feme and Wes Lee. You have So, Rocho, and Lasses Legends. What do you think was the first three in viewership?
Was the first three?
Yeah. So which one
Well,
was the most? Which one was the second? Yeah.
whatever Jordan is, I was assuming was first.
Correct. 111,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second was Ethan Page signing his NXT contract at 97,000. 97,000 for a guy that AEW basically just let walk. I
Yeah. I
mean,
don't know what happened there.
basically just let him walk. And Booker T's segment for the the NXT Women's North American title, 78,000. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
I don't get this. I don't know how Tony doesn't see NXT and doesn't pick small things from what NXT does well to put on his show. Because if you think about it, he has more developed wrestlers than NXT does, right? If you're talking about years of experience, he has guys that have traveled the globe for 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he can steal something here or there and plug into them and let them go with it, how do they fail if they already know that works? It seems so easy to me. So easy. You're telling me for all this time you couldn't go get Jordan Grace? Think about what she would have did in that women's development. You had her husband.
Well,
You pissed off her
maybe not.
husband and
Well,
she left.
I was gonna say, but maybe because you pissed off her husband, and her husband said, "Don't do it. You'll not be happy."
But like that's just what I'm talking. Yeah, I mean, but he come out like he's the Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a whole other different issue. Um, what that goddamn octopus thing he wears, Dan? You're a grown man walking around in cosplay. Get real. At least dress up as a furry. You know what I mean? We know a couple people. Um,
Oh God.
what?
Anyway, nothing.
But it's awesome. Awesome. I'm glad she's there. It opens up doors. Um, did you see Xavier as soon as NXT was off the air, or as soon as Jordan was done with her match? Xavier Woods tweeted at the TNA Tag Champions and said, "How about you give
Yeah.
Kofi and I a shot at those titles?" I'm all for it. I'm all for it. They're
Yeah.
supposed to what? Kofi and Xavier
Oh.
top 10 tag team of all time. People say.
Yeah. By the way, it was Prohibited Portal.
Oh, prohibited portal.
Good
Yeah.
portal. She opened the Prohibited Portal. I think she was the one who actually said. I think she posted it
Oh. Oh my.
on X.
I'm gonna have to buy a Jordan Grace action figure for my desk now, just because of that.
Oh, she released a shirt.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Prohibited
Yeah. Because
Portal.
that's what I sent you with the shirt.
Yeah. Yep. The Prohibited Portal. I finally found it.
Yeah. But yeah, they why not, right? Like, why not have Xavier and
Yeah.
Kofi go take a shot at those titles? Best part is Survivor Series or War Games. I'll let you get that sip in before I just blow your mind. We have an NXT versus TNA.
TNA War Games.
Why not do it?
Yeah.
Why not like bring Brian Myers back? He's over there. And also, then Brian gets a little assistance from somebody we know that has a torn bicep that lost out on a Star Wars figure recently in our area.
Be ready.
Who's now the GM of GCW?
CW. Yeah. What a good gig for him to get, just to
Yeah,
give him some income while he's.
yeah.
Well, also not for nothing, the X Division champion is Mustafa Ali.
Well, and you have Nick Nemeth there too. You're
Yep.
telling me like he won't want to come back and put on a show that outshines WWE
And Top Dollar.
and well, okay, Dan. All right, that's enough.
AJ Francis.
You just you
I'm
just killed
just,
that for me.
I,
You just killed that for me.
no, no, why
And
not? Well, they all, oh, and
Matt Hardy,
they have, and Dirty Dango. Dirty Dango is there, the former Fandango.
if he comes back as a police officer, I'm in. That that
I mean,
slim fit shirt, I'm in.
oh my God, by the way, I didn't realize, I think AJ Francis is in a stable called First Class, and the S's are dollar signs.
Yeah.
with is that Lilo Rush?
Well,
I
he went to
don't even
public
know who
school,
that
so
is.
that's why.
Okay, okay. Anyway,
Well, and who else is there that Sean was very high on and Triple H was very high on, but he couldn't just work for Vince? Eric Young. Bring him back. Open up the prohibited portal. Let's go.
I
I
mean, they
mean,
got a few people that are some WWE rejects that you know, Rich Swan.
oh, is he
um,
there?
well, he's on their website. I don't
Card,
know.
card,
Dona's on there
Jonas.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhino's on there. Um, I mean, they've got several people that were once there. Um, so I mean, the story builds itself right off the bat.
Oh,
But
Tommy Dreamer back in a WWE. Like, come on. I think this fixes the issue for who's next for Cody.
I mean, literally on TNA's website,
Josh
on their
Alexander for
yeah, that too,
against Cody.
on their new page, I mean on their news page, the third story is Jordan Grace victorious on NXT ahead of battle with Roxanne Perez at Battleground. Like they're promoting
Yes.
WWE's product on their website.
Yeah, because it's just printing them cash, right?
Yep.
I mean, would you say that they're doing a better job of the prohibited portal than AEW and New Japan is doing of the forbidden door?
Well, yeah, because it's been overdone and it's weekly almost now. You know, you know AEW like they had a kind of cool thing for a little bit when they did it with TNA because they did make it a little bit of like a competition, not exactly invasion, but a little bit,
Yeah,
right? And they had a story to it, and it was fun for a little while. The New Japan thing, the first Forbidden Door was really cool because it hadn't been done,
right.
right? Like it hadn't been done in a long, long time, like it was being done there. Like it was literally AEW versus New Japan. Every match was going to have an AEW wrestler and a New Japan wrestler, and it wasn't necessarily a competition, but they made it that way. The second one was all right, but less illustrious,
Yep.
right?
Oh, big
But
words to
then
you.
these, thank you,
No problem.
and screw you at the same time. And see, you totally threw me off
I know.
now. But then the other part about it too was that these New Japan people were just staying around for weeks at a
Yes.
time too.
Yeah.
So and then they were showing up on all the shows, and it was like, okay, like it's cool, but and look, not the best example, but what's more impactful for you? The ten well, this is gonna be a bad question for you, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
What?
What's more impactful? The 20th time we've seen Shibata show up and challenge somebody randomly on Dynamite or Collision, or Jack Perry randomly showing up at a New Japan event, jumping out of the crowd and attacking somebody.
Yeah.
It's Jack Perry
Yeah.
in that sense, right? Like because AEW doesn't go over to New Japan nearly as much, right? And doesn't get featured in New Japan as much. Like they go over for the tournaments a little bit, right? Moxley has
Yeah.
always done that, the G8 or whatever it is, or the
Yep.
what is it?
That's what it is.
Yeah. So like that stuff, but that's fine because that's a tournament and that's kind of
Yeah.
like a showcase and all
It's
that.
expected, right? At that point.
Right. And they do a little bit of that with AAA too. Just a
Well,
little bit.
yeah, because and the whole point of the tournament is it's the open invite to see who's the best of the best. There's
Right.
nothing secret behind it. It's just if you think you are the best, here's your opportunity, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. It's great, and like the diehards in AEW love it because they think it's like something very special that happens. You know. whatever, and it's all this like fantasy stuff and booking and whatnot. But I don't know, for the general wrestling fan, I think it just gets tired after a while. Like the first Forbidden Door was really cool. I was there. It was a great reaction. The second one was kind of cool. We were there. You and I were there. It was still kind of cool. It was, I mean, personally for us, well, especially for me, I think for you a little bit too. I mean, a lot of it was seeing CM Punk wrestle. Like,
Yes,
we were like in for that. I mean, that was the main reason too for me, and it was so close to us. It was just a no brainer.
yes,
The third one. I mean, look, I said it before. I would be a little more interested if MJF is a part of it. I think he might be a part of it now. I would hope. I don't. It's on Long Island this year. He's from Long Island,
you have to.
so right. So I don't think I'm going to be down there for work this time, so I can't use that as an excuse. But I would consider it again
Well,
because
it's
it's not that far.
looking like you're gonna be, huh? Just go anyways. Oh, I gotta be down there for work.
So, anyways, yeah. So, I mean, that part I would go, but now I'm only going basically for one reason. But it's still kind of cool, but it's nothing spectacular anymore. But as always, too, the problem for this show, Forbidden Door as a show, they don't announce the freaking matches until like a week before.
Yeah,
And it's so annoying to me that they wait so long to do that. But whatever.
yeah.
Oh, do they? Actually, I guess they do already have some matches.
I think it becomes impossible to keep doing Forbidden Door if you don't have storylines, right? If you have storylines, you have something that protects the event. If you don't have anything to protect the event, everything falls on that event, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. Um,
Well, the only thing I will say, so far, this Forbidden Door might be a little bit better. So far, we do have four matches confirmed. Swerve versus Osprey for the AEW Championship, which
Swerve
isn't
wins,
technically a Forbidden Door match
right?
either, but
It's a
that's fine.
dynamite match.
There's going to be a ladder match for the TNT Championship. So far, the only people in it are Takeshita and Mark Briscoe.
Don't care. Well, I like
Okay.
Briscoe a lot, but that's just because of what he's done for wrestling. So, but
Yeah, and I mean, depending on who else is going to be in it, we'll see.
and
Mercy,
Briscoe is gonna go all out. He's gonna do some crazy
yeah,
shit with a ladder, right? Like,
yeah.
so at least you can count on him in that. But go on. Sorry.
Mercedes versus Stephanie Vaquer. Winner takes all, title for title, title versus title for TBS Championship and the New Japan Strong Women's Championship.
So she's
And
going to New
then,
Japan.
yeah, probably. And then Tony Storm versus Mina Shirakawa. So I'm sure there's more coming. Obviously, I think MJF has to be a part of it. I'm sure they'll book more matches and all that, but you know, could be all right. But I don't want it to be Roosh.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, where'd he go?
I'm here. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to edit this again, Daniel.
I
There we
know.
go.
My bad.
No worry about it. Yeah, I mean it could be good, right? But like they got to build to it. They can't just be like, "Hey guys, come pay all this for the Forbidden Door. Here it is." It's like what are you getting people to come find, right? Like for instance, with the NXT Battleground this weekend at the UFC Apex Center. What a segue! I'm a pro at this. One, you have the Apex Center pulling everybody in for this event, right? Because everybody wants to see the Apex Center. So that's a whole other thing, right? You have Battleground, which a lot of people believe is normally the craziest NXT pay per view of the year, minus whatever they do at Madison Square Garden, because that show always goes crazy. Then Just to throw on top of it, Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne almost had the TNA title, I think, back in the day. There's another one. So what's that? Four things. Then Trick Williams versus Big Eagle. Ethan Page.
Yeah.
It pulls everybody into this event, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we're back on Sundays. Come watch us. Yeah, so just and it's hosted by Sexy Red Dan, the rapper.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Are you positive?
Yeah, George told me all about her.
Anyways, um, yeah. So to go over that card, NXT Battleground Las Vegas 2024. The NXT Championship, Trick versus Ethan Page. Probably Trick, right?
Hmm.
Do you think Ethan
Mm,
Page has anybody else with him?
I mean, maybe Scorpio Sky. What's his
I don't know. I was just
contract?
thinking, right? Like,
They were a duo for quite some time.
um,
Oh no, he's never mind.
then you have Roxanne Perez, Jordan Grace for the title. They each have a title, but it's not title for title. The only thing I would change, I would change that match is title for title.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but then I thought then I think leaving it not title for title allows people to get to an assumption that Roxanne wins more, and then if she doesn't, it's a bigger
Yeah.
deal,
Well,
right?
so and I was thinking if they want to run this back after a bit, right? Jordan Grace comes back and says, "I want my rematch, whatever, blah blah blah." Roxanne says no. Then Jordan puts in the contract. All right, here it is, title for title. You win, you get this one. I win, I get that one. Right? Like just a kind of like last ditch effort of like let's do this one more time, and I think that'll be huge. Um, so it is the NXT Women's North American Championship 6 woman ladder match. Mitchin's in there, Jada Parker, Laney Jordan, Phelan Henley, apologies, Lash Legend, and So Rucka. Ladder matches are always sweet on NXT. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they have them practice it beforehand, but they're always great. I'm expecting that one to be a banger as well. Um, then you got Obey Fema versus Wesley in versus Joe Coffey for a triple threat North American Championship. No ladders or whatever, just straight up triple threat match. That's gonna be good. And then the NXT Tag Champions, you got you have Axum and Nathan Frazier against the OC, Gallows and Anderson. They should be wrestling for free at this point, but and then just to throw another twist on this, because a lot of people on Reddit love this NXT Underground stuff. NXT Underground match: Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice. Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. I'm all for it.
yeah.
It's a decent Sunday card. It should only be about 2 hours. Like, I don't see why not, right? Like, why not? So, but yeah, just the final thing then to hit on. I didn't get to check this on. Uh, did get to check this. Let me check it now. So AEW and Ethan Page. It's crazy because he's not on the WWE site yet, but he will be after he wins the title this week. So, I mean, I don't know. Is this part of the issue of having too many guys on a roster that you don't know what to do if you're Tony?
Well, I think that's been their issue
Right?
since almost the beginning,
Because
right?
you're gonna basically
'Cause-
give WWE free talent then, right? Like if they could go to WWE, they're gonna go to WWE.
yeah,
Just like they said, Penta's contract is up in the summer. I think they said July, and there's been big interest on WWE wanting Penta.
I would love that. I love Penta. I'm a big Penta fan in general.
Agreed.
Like,
Agreed.
and WWE doesn't really have anyone like Penta, but it's tough
Um,
because I think Penta thrives in the indie scene, right? Like some of these guys, while I would love to see what the potential is in WWE, I think they thrive outside of that kind of controlled programming, right? Because Penta's allure is the craziness,
yes.
and he's all over the place. Um, I mean, I still would love him to try it, but I don't know long term how well that works. But I also don't think that Triple H is adverse to shorter contracts just to have some runs in there and then say goodbye, right?
Well,
Because I think he recognizes the value of a tighter roster at times. So and if it's working, it works, and when it's not, people don't get renewed, and that's fine. You
well,
know, like
my
just go
whole
there.
thing is, my whole thing is, what if Hunter or Sean wanting Penta means that's a direction they kind of want to bring the company in now. They want to get back to like the hardcore style. That oh my god, did he just do that style?
Well, there's a lot of yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
Because
what
I don't think
both.
you wouldn't go because based on how well they've been making decisions over what should we say since Vince has been completely gone. Would you say
Mhm.
they've been almost hitting on every decision. So for them to say we have interest in Penta, I don't think they'll go get Penta just to change him into a WWE guy. I think they'll go get Penta because they'll be like, okay, these are the things we really don't want to see, but everything else you have the green light.
Right.
Like, don't
Am
constantly
I
slice yourself. Like, keep everybody
right?
safe that you're involved with. But other than that, go.
Right. My thing is though is that he's not going to be able to go out and do all those individual dates. All these AEW guys, they can for the most part take on
Yeah, that's
all the
fine.
weekend indie shows.
But he'll probably make double what he makes at AEW.
No, I know, but my thing
No,
was is
I
like
know.
I think he thrives on that. Like
Yes,
he's more of a
I get it.
he's like he's like a cult classic in that sense,
Yes,
right? Like,
I get it. I I
I want to see him there. I'm just saying.
I do get it, but at the same time, like, what if that's a direction they want to go? Like, just bring it, right? Like, just let him go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but back to the Ethan Page stuff. Like, I feel like that's a huge miss that not a lot of people are talking about. It's a huge miss. Um, I,
I
I
think
mean, he's
this
six
is
foot
what
two,
happens.
220. He looks. If you're trying to build a champion within a lab, he looks the part, right?
Right.
Like he's clean cut. no tattoos, looks like an old school type, can carry the big belt. He dresses well when he comes out, and he has a title. Right, like he's old school wrestling brought to the current day. I would say.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like it's
I think I think that's what sort of what happens with in general too is that an AEW guy or gal going to WWE always is going for now going to be a bigger deal than when it happens in reverse. And that wasn't the case. A couple of years ago, it was, oh, somebody basically defects from AEW, or I mean from WWE and goes to AEW. Wow. Like that's a big deal. Like it was a big deal originally. Now it's happening in reverse, right? Because WWE guys go to AEW and it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, but they do nothing with them.
right.
AEW guys go, a guy who was, lost in the shuffle at AEW, and now he's in the main event, or one of the main events, on a WWE program within 3 weeks. Boom.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, right? Like, how do you like? It looks even worse of a failure because it's been 3 weeks,
Right.
and the crowd
And
attached
right.
right away. The crowd was in. Yes, I
Oh
want
yeah.
Trick and Ethan. I want Trick and
Right.
Ethan.
Right. And it was an amazing, like, oh my god, and the fact that they're using his name, like,
Yes.
and they did who else did they do that with? Um who else recently came over that they kept their regular name or their name from like their last promotion
Well, obviously
in
they're
WWE.
doing with Jordan.
Well, Jordan, but I mean, again, like because they're kind of like borrowing her. No, oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on this? It'll come to me. But somebody else moved over, and it was like, oh, it's so and so. Like we're not changing their names. Like they're not doing that anymore. And even if they did, it wouldn't matter as much. But um, like I've been reading a lot of rumors that people think Ricochet's gonna leave when he's up, and
I
that's
saw that
fine
too.
if he leaves. That's fine if he leaves, but like
Oh well, they
I
did
don't
it with.
think it's gonna be a
Were you thinking of Jade?
yes. Thank you. God, I don't know how I couldn't think of that. Like Jade was another example, right? Like no name change. We're bringing you in as how you were known. And NXT, like, right, they played that off beautifully. And a lot of people probably don't catch the subtlety. I know you would have, but like it was who is that? Who is that? Oh my God, that's Ethan Page. And wasn't he in AE? And they cut the person off. Like yeah, everybody knows he was in AEW, but the fact that you were about to say it, you got cut off. You hinted it. You put it out there. You're calling him Ethan Page. It made it that much better, basically, bigger of a deal. So if tomorrow take Penta. If they're really interested in Penta, like
I'm all
he
in.
better be Penta.
I'm all in.
He
Will,
better,
there's no
yeah,
way that there is
right,
no way that they'll change that.
right.
Well, and
But anybody they bring over should really be that person, right? Like, I mean, except for people who like if Malachi Black ever goes back, like I'm sure they'll call him Alistair Black, right? Like,
well, just think what they could do with him, and they bring over Brody.
mm,
Triple H would have a field day with Brody. A
yeah.
big guy that can go that fast. Brody versus Braun for the IC title. Brody versus Braun and Gunther.
You think they would ever bring over Darby?
Yes. I think if they bring over Penta and it works well with Penta and they still let Penta do some things, yes, I could see Darby being brought over. I think a lot has to be determined on what they do with Penta or if they get Penta, but yes. I think their only concern with Darby, though, is the same concern that they had with Jeff Hardy and the earlier version of Mankind, where they have to constantly tell him, slow down. Every
maybe,
match don't have
maybe.
to be you're putting your career on the line type match, right?
Well, I think that's probably something they're teaching all of them that come
Yeah,
over or come from
but I
indies
just
to
think
say,
that's a conversation that probably has to get had with Darby if he truly wants to sign, right? And that's if he doesn't
yeah,
go to Everest next year and die up there. Like, but
I
it's
think, yeah, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I think the difference too for him compared to Hardy and McFoley is that even though he does crazy stuff that's bad for his body, he's not poisoning himself with drugs
no, he's
and
not.
alcohol
No,
and all
so
that.
that
Right? He's
helps, right?
straight edge. So yeah. Um it certainly helps a little bit because those guys self-medicated and that was
Well, that's what.
terrible.
Yeah, that's what made everything like
Right.
that bad. But yeah, like
But I
for
agree. They'll probably tell him you can do more with less, and that's what we want you to
because
do.
that's how we
And
tell
they'll
a story, right?
right, and there'll be moments for you to do a coffin drop off the top of the cage, but we're gonna do that once a year, not once a match. You know?
Right. Well, and just to go back to the Ethan stuff, it's the equivalent. Have you seen Javon Evans in NXT by chance?
Hmm.
He's the future of wrestling. But when he was Jay Malaki, he did a lot of taping for AEW, but they just didn't have anywhere for him, right? So he's an indie standout. Went did some AEW tapings. All of a sudden, he hits NXT and everybody loves him. Same thing with. Have you ever heard of Lucky Ali? He was a indie wrestler. He debuted. I believe, he started at. Did he start at the same places? He started at Firestar Pro Wrestling, and then worked his way up, did a couple things, blah blah, and he supposedly got signed um since January of 2024 by WWE, and one that everybody wanted, that New Japan was very high on, Brogan Finley, son of Fit Finley and brother of David Fit Finley, WWE guy. Like,
Yeah.
WWE gets so much talent on their own. For AEW just to give them free talent like Ethan Page doesn't do well for their future, would you say? Because it's like, I just don't get it. I just I don't know. It's yeah, it's wild, man. It's I don't know. It's and the only thing is like when he was asked beforehand when he was pulled from everything, that they just said we're no longer working together. That's all that was said. Like there's nothing else being said about it. There's so you kind of just I don't know. What do you think? Like you he probably just got bored standing around, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if your contract's up, and maybe AEW wasn't renewing him, I don't know. I mean, they
Yeah,
weren't
I
doing
mean that's
anything
just
with them.
stupid as well. Like
Or maybe there was a negotiation and same thing, he goes to WWE or somebody reaches out. I mean, it's not like these people don't know each other,
oh,
like
they
all
always
these
do. Yeah.
wrestlers, right? So, and WWE's machine is paying attention. So, as much as on screen they might want to tell you they're not concerned with any other promotion, they may not be concerned, but they're certainly looking, right? They're watching because they're looking at talent. Like, they didn't just randomly discover Jade Cargill. They knew what Jade Cargill was about, and the same could be said for Ethan and all that. So maybe somebody contacts him when his contract's up, or he contacts them and says my contract's up, and they say, yeah, we see an avenue here, we see a story here. Same thing. I doubt Ethan Page is making that much at AEW. So again, same situation. Goes into a place where the opportunity is, the potential is endless for what he can do with them, and is the is what is different other than the travel, maybe the frequency that he has to wrestle. But what does he care if he's getting paid? Like, he was doing it anyway with all. I'm sure he was taking independent bookings a lot too.
Yeah,
So
but how? But I don't even consider like the travel issue or like how much he's gonna work beforehand because I don't know if you saw the when Randy Orton was asked about Vince in the past couple of weeks, and he says he owes a lot to Vince, but he believed it came time that there was a change. And the good thing about Hunter and Sean is Hunter and Sean n- knows how it feels for a wrestler to be home for the holidays.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, cool. You're gonna have to come here and grind and work, right? But we're also
yeah,
gonna make sure you're gonna be able to get the schedule that you want, as long as it fits the storyline, right? Like, so I mean, yeah, he's probably gonna be working a little bit more, but if he still gets that important time off, like, yeah, it's so worth it. Just wait until he starts putting his gear up for sale on the WWE. Like, let me see if there's anything up there now. Let me see. There's probably not if he's not on the wrestling roster, right?
probably not.
Not yet, at least. No. The only page that comes up is DDP. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the WWE can do no wrong, and just to get, I don't know. Like this feels like this kind of feels like Mookie Betts taking less from the Dodgers just to stay a Dodger, rather than taking all this cash to go back to the Red Sox. Like he's like, no, I'm good. Like I like that's still gonna be. I'm still getting paid to do what I love, but it's like gonna be under my terms, right? And
Yeah,
and and Ethan Page can probably put a lot of trust into WWE creative that he probably, now once again, this is probably gonna get our video a false strike Dan, so I gotta have to be careful how I say this. Um, Ethan Page can probably put a lot of trust into WWE creative that he might have felt towards the end of his AEW career that he couldn't do to towards Tony because Tony was so busy with everybody else, right?
yeah,
So it's like good for him. I'm glad to have him. I always was a big fan of him. I've spoke about him before that I believed he should have got a lot more titles than the title shots than those guys with the pom poms on their boots that explode. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's great. Go watch Battleground Sunday, 8 o'clock from the Apex Center. Oh, and side note, what if Ethan Page needs a little bit of help this Sunday? Because he has a theme song back when he was tag team with Josh Alexander. Writes itself, Dan. We're getting Josh Alexander this weekend. Book it, baby. No, but that would be awesome.
that would be awesome.
I mean,
And they've created a connection to be able to do that.
yeah.
So
I'm being he's tag teamed with Scorpio Sky. He's tag team with Josh Alexander. He's tag teamed with Matt Seidel. Yeah, yeah. Ah, Jesus, so excited. Good for him. Good for him. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, Battlegrounds this Sunday, 8 o'clock, Apex Center, Peacock, or if you legally stream it, that as well. Depending on what you do. But yeah,
I have Peacock, you jerk.
I'm just saying. So yeah, Dan. Anything else you wanted to touch on today? I feel like this was a good season 2, episode 1.
Season premiere, baby.
Season premiere is
Season
brand new
premiere.
Office.
I'm in a new spot.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be in a new spot soon.
Well, let's calm that down, Dan.
I mean, maybe.
If that's
Never
the
know.
case, that would be the start of season 3, then, right? We would have to do a start of season 3.
Look, if that, well, that's fine. I mean, like I said, we can just make up season premieres.
Oh
We could
yeah,
have a draft. We could have a draft if you want.
yeah. Draft the two of us, and,
Right?
and the dogs and the cats. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I draft
Well,
Obi with my first pick to
yeah.
Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
but we'll have to get you a bunch of lights and all that.
oh yeah, and then the 15th, I believe, is Hold on, I think I had this up. My apologies. Clash at the Castle's on the 15th. So you're going Battleground, then Clash at the Castle less than a week later. Or a week later, basically, yeah. So we might even
Yeah.
get Drew and Punk a week later after we see Jordan Grace and Ethan both take NXT tag or take NXT titles. I'm all for it, right?
I thought we were getting. Um, I don't remember what I thought we were getting. Drew against.
It's Drew against Damien.
Oh right, Drew and Damien. So then, yeah, I think Drew wins, and then we get Punk Drew.
I think Punk screws him over again and we get Priest. And then it's finally Drew's had enough and then he wants Punk. And then he'll go back to the hunt of the title.
Okay,
I just,
fair
I
enough.
don't know. Like, I think,
Well, we haven't seen Punk in a while, right?
yeah. And supposedly, if it's true, I don't think you give Damian Priest creative control in his contract and he drops it this quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like that's a big reach. Um, Supposedly, yeah, we could talk about this real quick then to end this. What we are supposedly getting, Bailey versus Piper. I can actually see Piper taking that title. They're very high on Piper. I wouldn't do it, but I could definitely see Piper taking that title. Uh, Sammy versus Chad. I can see Chad finally getting that title.
Well, that's the rumor, right? Like they're enticing him to sign a new contract by giving him the title at Clash,
Yeah. Um,
allegedly.
Other predictions are Cody versus AJ. United States, Logan versus LA Knight versus Carmelo. That'll be crazy good. And Solo versus KO, which Solo made his roster debut at Clash at the Castle in 2022. If you did not remember, Dan.
I just read that actually as
Yeah,
I was.
Sheamus versus Ludwig, Gunther versus Orton, Dragunov versus Ricochet versus Braun Baker. I'm all in for that match. I would put that on a projector so the rest of the neighborhood could watch that if they wanted to. That's gonna be awesome. Yeah. So I mean, the NXT Battleground card's pretty sweet. A week later, you get this predictive card. Once again, no bad decisions here.
Nope.
They're around 7:30 for their NXT shows. They're what around 8 for their other big programs. Sooner or later we're gonna find out how long Raw is gonna be on Netflix. I heard 2 hours today. I was reading somewhere that's been said by them. I don't. That's fine with me. 2 hours
Two
is fine.
hours commercial free, right?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Um, I mean, now we probably sound like the WWE fanboys, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, why not go for it, right? Like, let's go for it. And they are. They're going to kill it over the next 2 weeks. There's going to be a lot to talk about, which is great because Monday night and Friday night of next week is going to be killer because they're just those go home shows before a big show are always killer. They've been in that least with Hunter in charge, so I'll be tuning in for those for sure. But yeah, a lot of great WWE programming on. Yes, MJF is at AEW. Tune in to watch that as well. He's great as well. But yeah, I think that's it for season 2, episode 1. Whoa, whoa,
In the
Dan.
bag.
Well, we're back.
In the bag.
But
We're
yeah,
back.
like, comment, subscribe, watch Battleground, watch AEW this week for MJF, and Clash at the Castle next week. Other than that, have a good night. Like, comment, subscribe. Adios.
What?